Sometimes life moves along at a steady pace. It feels manageable, predictable, and almost within our control. We navigate through the routine of the day, managing tasks, relationships, and responsibilities. But then, without any warning, the ground beneath us begins to shift. It's not a result of anything going wrong. It's not caused by a mistake or misstep. No, this is a moment of divine intervention. Heaven has decided it's time for something bigger, something more significant to enter your life. This is not a gentle invitation to change. This is a forceful and unavoidable blessing. The truth is, blessings of this magnitude don't come to us politely. They don't wait for us to feel ready. They don't arrive after a carefully constructed plan or when we feel perfectly prepared. Instead, these blessings come on God's schedule, and God's timing doesn't wait for us to feel like we've earned it or worked hard enough to deserve it. It arrives precisely when it is meant to, sweeping through our lives like a powerful wave, transforming everything in its path. It's important to recognize that when such a blessing arrives, it often doesn't feel good at first. In fact, it may feel uncomfortable, disorienting, and overwhelming. You might face a closed door. You may hear nothing but silence after long, desperate prayers for clarity. It may even come at a time when you've been trying to go back to normal, trying to reclaim what feels familiar. But here's the thing. What God is bringing into your life can't fit into the space you've created for yourself. The blessing you're about to receive is too big, too sacred, too alive to fit into your old routine. Think of it like a hermit crab leaving its old shell. The shell isn't broken, and it's not that anyone forces the crab out. It leaves simply because the shell is no longer big enough to allow it to breathe. That's how you may be feeling now, the restlessness, the discomfort, the sense that you've outgrown your current life. This is the divine sign that you're ready for a new shell, a new chapter, a larger space for your spirit to grow. It's not just a new life, it's a bigger, more vibrant existence that's been waiting for you all along. This divine disruption is not here to hurt you, but to elevate you. The pressure you've been feeling, the frustration, the confusion, the yearning for something more, this is your signal that you are no longer meant to stay where you are. You are being prepared for something greater. This moment of disruption, no matter how uncomfortable it may feel, is a blessing that will carry you into the fullness of what God has planned for you. The blessing you're about to receive may come in the form of a collision, an impact between your ordinary life and something extraordinary. It won't be quiet. It won't ask for your permission. It will show up with power and authority. You won't need to force excitement or pretend that you're ready. The alignment will be so precise, so perfectly timed, that it will feel as though everything you've ever hoped for is suddenly right within reach. You may have felt the stirring in your spirit already. You may have been standing at the window of your soul, waiting for a sign that something new is coming. Maybe you've tried to go back to old habits or old relationships, trying to find comfort in what you once knew, but deep down, you know it's not working anymore. That's not your fault. This is simply the evidence that the version of you that once existed to survive is now stepping aside. The version of you that's built for abundance and overflow is now being called forward. It's time. And God is not interested in slow introductions. God is moving quickly, decisively, and with perfect clarity. You won't have to beg for this blessing. You won't have to justify why you deserve it. This isn't a blessing you have to earn. It's a divine interruption. A holy moment where everything you've been through up until now, every storm you've weathered, every trial you've survived has prepared you for this exact moment. Now, God is about to reveal to you what was written for you before you even knew how to ask for it. When this moment hits, you'll feel it before you even fully understand it. It will settle into your chest, resonating with the deepest parts of your being. You'll speak words you didn't rehearse. You'll say yes before your mind can catch up. It won't be impulsive. It will be a response born from deep within your soul, a recognition that this is the moment you were made for. This isn't just a breakthrough. This is an encounter with divine timing. And when it happens, you'll know beyond a shadow of a doubt that everything has been leading you to this very point. At times, life can seem almost manageable. We go through the motions, work, relationships, daily routines, and it all feels like it fits together perfectly. For a while, you might feel like you have everything under control. You've figured out how to juggle your responsibilities, your goals, and your dreams. But then, out of nowhere, everything starts to shift. The familiar landscape of your life is suddenly turned upside down. And you don't know what to do with the sudden, overwhelming change. This isn't because something went wrong or because you failed in some way. No, this is something different. It's a divine interruption, something God has planned for you all along. It's not a mistake or an accident. It's a purposeful shift that's been in motion for a long time, waiting for the right moment to unfold. When the shift occurs, it can feel as if the ground beneath your feet is shaking. The things you once relied on, the things you thought were stable, start to feel unsteady, and you realize you're no longer in control. At first, the change may seem like a setback. You might think that something is wrong, that you've somehow missed the mark. Maybe an opportunity closes unexpectedly. Or a relationship you thought was secure begins to unravel. Maybe you feel like you're being pulled away from the familiar, away from the things you've worked so hard to build. But this isn't a setback. This is a setup for something greater. This disruption is not here to tear you down. It's here to move you toward a divine purpose, a purpose you couldn't fully understand until this moment. The reality is that divine interruptions are never convenient. They don't happen according to your schedule or in a way that makes logical sense. They don't wait for you to feel ready. Instead, they come at a time when you least expect them, often when you think you've finally found stability. God's timing is always perfect, even if it doesn't line up with our own timing. When the interruption comes, it's a sign that you've outgrown the space you've been in, and that a new chapter is about to begin. You might resist the change at first. It's natural to feel uncertain, to want to hold on to what's familiar. The unknown can be frightening, especially when everything around you seems to be shifting in unexpected ways. But it's important to recognize that this divine interruption is not here to harm you. It's here to lead you into something greater. The discomfort you feel is simply the growing pains of your spirit, stretching to accommodate a new level of blessing, a new level of purpose. The moment you realize this, everything will begin to shift. Think of the way a seed is planted in the dark. It must break open to grow, and that process is not easy. It's uncomfortable. It can feel like everything is falling apart, but that is precisely when growth begins. The seed, once it breaks free from its shell, begins to push through the soil, reaching for the light. Similarly, when you experience these divine interruptions, you're being stretched and redefined, just like the seed. You're being prepared for what's to come, and the discomfort is simply a sign that something extraordinary is taking root in your life. Sometimes, God's blessings arrive like a thunderstorm, shaking everything around you, forcing you to let go of the old so the new can take root. You might find that everything you once thought was important starts to feel irrelevant. Relationships, job opportunities, And even goals you once worked tirelessly for might start to fade into the background as something new begins to emerge. But remember this: when this happens, it's not a sign that you've failed. It's a sign that you've outgrown the old, and now you're ready for the new. What you thought was a loss is actually a divine redirection, guiding you toward a higher calling, a higher purpose. When the storm passes, you'll find yourself standing on solid ground once again. But this time, the ground will be stronger. You'll be stronger. You'll have grown in ways you couldn't have imagined when things felt stable. The power of divine interruptions is that they shape us, mold us, and prepare us for the blessings that are about to unfold. These moments of disruption might feel like everything is falling apart, but in reality, everything is falling into place. The things that are meant for you will never slip away. They are being rearranged to make room for something far greater. So, as you face this divine interruption, don't resist it. Don't try to control it or make sense of it right away. Just trust that this is part of the process, part of the divine plan that's unfolding in your life. And when it feels overwhelming, when the changes seem too big, remember you are not alone in this. You are being guided, supported, and prepared for something extraordinary. The divine interruption you are experiencing is not a punishment. It's a blessing in disguise. It's God's way of preparing you for the next chapter, the next stage in your journey, where you will be ready to step into your full potential. When the divine interruption hits, it often feels like your world has been turned upside down. At first, it may seem like everything you've known has been swept away: your comfort zone, your routine, and your sense of control. But this isn't a random event, and it certainly isn't a mistake. The intensity of the disruption is directly related to the magnitude of the blessing that's coming your way. God doesn't disrupt your life for trivial reasons. This shift is part of a larger divine plan that's unfolding at precisely the right moment. Many people expect blessings to arrive in small, manageable doses. We often think that when something good happens, it will come gently, gradually, in a way that we can easily accept and integrate into our lives. But that's not how divine blessings work. Sometimes, when God is ready to release a blessing, He will shake things up. This is because the blessing that is coming is too great, too powerful, and too significant to fit into your life as it currently exists. It's like trying to pour a gallon of water into a cup. The cup can only hold so much. And eventually, the water will overflow. God's blessings are like that water. They can't be contained in the small space you've created for yourself. This is why the disruption often feels overwhelming. It's not just a small change that will fit neatly into your current situation. No, this is a major shift that will require you to step into a new version of yourself, a new identity, and a new reality. You can't step into the fullness of what God has for you if you're still holding on to the old, the small, and the familiar. The divine interruption is meant to push you out of that old space, to break you free from the limitations you've placed on yourself, and to get you ready for the incredible blessings that God has in store. When God's blessings arrive suddenly, they are not there to overwhelm you for no reason. They come with purpose. They arrive when you are ready, even if you don't realize it. It's not about waiting until you're perfectly ready for what's coming. You'll never feel completely ready for something as big as a divine blessing. But God knows that you've been prepared through every trial, every hardship, and every moment of growth you've experienced. You've been shaped, stretched, and strengthened through your journey. And now it's time for that preparation to pay off. This divine interruption doesn't just arrive because you've asked for it. It comes because you've been chosen. Your life has been orchestrated for this moment, and every step you've taken has led you to this place. The blessing that's coming is part of your divine destiny, and it's time for you to step into it fully. The suddenness of this blessing can also be a bit disorienting. When things change quickly, it's easy to feel like you're not sure where you stand. You may feel unsettled, uncertain, or even scared about the future. But in those moments of uncertainty, you need to remind yourself that this disruption is part of a larger plan. God is not dropping this blessing into your life by accident. It's not happening randomly. This is part of a divine timetable, and the timing is perfect. The suddenness of the blessing is also a reminder that God doesn't operate on our timeline. We like to have everything figured out, planned in advance, and mapped out in neat, tidy steps. But God moves in ways that are beyond our understanding. His timing is always perfect, even when it doesn't make sense to us. That's why the blessing might seem to arrive at an inconvenient time or when we least expect it. But the truth is, it's exactly when you need it most. Think about it. The suddenness of a blessing isn't a sign of something going wrong. It's a sign of something going right. It means that you've reached the moment when you are ready to receive. The magnitude of the blessing is so great that it will shift your life in ways you can't even anticipate. It will stretch you, challenge you, and push you to become the person you've always been meant to be. This isn't about you proving yourself to God or to others. This is about God proving His faithfulness to you. The blessing is not a reward for your perfection. It's a confirmation that you are on the right path, that you are in alignment with His will for your life. It's a sign that everything you've gone through, all the trials and tests, have been leading to this moment of breakthrough. As overwhelming as the suddenness of this blessing might feel, remember this, it's all part of God's perfect plan for you. He's not going to give you a blessing that's too big for you to handle. If this blessing is coming into your life, it's because you are ready for it. And while it may take some time to adjust to the changes, trust that you are fully equipped for what's ahead. The divine interruption is here to shift your life in ways that are beyond your control. But that's okay. Sometimes we need a little disruption to break us free from our old ways of thinking and living. The blessing that's on its way to you is not just about comfort, it's about transformation. And when it arrives, it will change everything for the better. You won't be the same person after this shift. You will have grown, expanded, and stepped into your true calling. When a divine blessing is on the horizon, it's not always easy to embrace the changes that accompany it. We often find ourselves in situations that make us feel uncomfortable, restless, and uncertain. But what if the discomfort you're experiencing is actually the very thing preparing you for something greater? What if the struggles and challenges are signs that God is making room for something far bigger in your life? In moments of unease, the divine interruption is coming, and it's clearing the path for a blessing that will expand your life beyond what you can currently imagine. We've all been there, feeling stuck in old patterns, routines, or mindsets that no longer serve us. It's easy to get comfortable in what we know, even if we feel like we're not fully thriving. These old habits and ways of thinking, though familiar, can limit us. They may have worked for a time, but they can't carry us to the next level of life that God has planned for us. If we hold on to these things too tightly, we can miss the greater blessing that's waiting just beyond the familiar. That's why, when divine blessings are about to enter, God often disrupts our lives. He doesn't do this to harm us, but to create the space necessary for the new, the greater, and the more abundant to come in. It's like renovating a house sometimes. Old walls must be torn down, rooms must be emptied, and the familiar must be dismantled to make way for something larger, something more beautiful, and something far better than we can imagine. Think of the process of growth in nature. A tree must shed its old leaves to make room for new ones. The old leaves, once vibrant and full of life, eventually wither and fall off. If the tree refuses to let go of them, it won't be able to thrive and grow into its full potential. Similarly, in our lives, we must be willing to release the old, whether it's old relationships, outdated beliefs, or unhelpful routines, to allow God to bring in the new. It can be difficult to let go of what we know. The familiar feels safe, even when it's no longer serving us. But holding on to what's old can create resistance to what God is trying to bring into our lives. When you are stuck in a pattern that no longer fits, the divine interruption acts as the catalyst that pushes you out of that pattern and into a new space. It's like a mother bird pushing her chicks out of the nest. It's uncomfortable, but it's necessary for growth. God's blessings often come in ways that force us to let go. You might find that something in your life, something you thought was second or important, suddenly falls apart or becomes impossible to maintain. This is not a sign of failure. It's a sign that God is clearing the space for what's coming next. In moments like these, it's important to resist the temptation to cling to what's familiar. The more we try to hold on to the old, the more we delay the new, the more we resist the divine interruption, the longer it will take for the blessing to fully manifest. The divine blessing that's about to enter your life cannot fit into your current circumstances. If you don't create space for it, it's like trying to put a new piece of furniture into a room that's already full. You have to clear out the old to make room for the new. This process of making space may feel uncomfortable, and you may be tempted to retreat into your comfort zone. But remember that the discomfort is temporary. The new blessing that will come into your life will be worth every bit of the effort it takes to release the old. There's a beauty in letting go as you create space in your life. You are making room for things that are more aligned with your true purpose. God doesn't just bring random blessings into our lives. He brings blessings that are tailored to our destiny. Each blessing is meant to shape us, grow us, and help us become the people we were always meant to be. But that growth requires us to be willing to let go of what no longer serves us, to make space for what's coming next. When you let go of the old, it opens up new possibilities. You'll begin to notice that the things you once thought were important things, that once took up so much of your energy, suddenly don't matter as much. Your focus will shift toward the new direction that God is leading you in. You'll begin to feel a sense of freedom, a sense of release, as if a weight has been lifted off your shoulders. And as you create more and more space for the new, the blessing will begin to enter. This process of letting go and making space for God's blessings isn't always easy, but it's essential for the new chapter of your life. God knows that you are ready for something bigger, and He is working to clear the path. The divine interruption is not about tearing you down. It's about building you up. It's about helping you step into a version of yourself that is more fully aligned with the abundant life that God has planned for you. So, when the divine interruption comes and the old begins to fall away, don't be afraid. Don't resist the change, and trust that God is creating the space for something beautiful, something greater, and something that will align you with your purpose. The best is yet to come, and in order to experience it, you must be willing to let go of the old and make space for the new. There comes a point in everyone's journey when we realize we can no longer return to what we once knew. It's a realization that may come slowly or hit us all at once, but when it does, it can feel disorienting and even painful. You might look back at your old life, your routines, relationships and familiar surroundings, and suddenly feel that none of it fits you anymore. It's as if you've outgrown it, like a pair of shoes that no longer fit, even though they once did. The comfort and security of what was familiar no longer holds the same appeal, and that's when you know you're being called to move forward, not backward. This is one of the hardest parts of the journey. The tension between where you've been and where you're going can feel overwhelming. You might feel like you're standing at a crossroads, unsure of how to proceed or even where you're headed. The urge to return to the old ways is strong, because the unknown can be terrifying, but deep down you know that returning is not an option. The divine interruption has already begun, and you can no longer ignore the pull forward. God's divine interruptions often bring us to a place where we have no choice but to let go of the past. They disrupt our lives in ways that challenge our comfort zones, our plans, and our sense of identity. But this is where growth happens. If you're stuck in the past, you can't move into the future that God has prepared for you. The divine interruption forces you to confront the reality that the version of yourself that was built for survival, built to hold things together, to push through, to keep going even when it didn't make sense, must step aside. A new version of you is emerging, one that is built for abundance, joy, and purpose. This process can be incredibly difficult because we tend to hold on to what's familiar, even when it no longer serves us. We resist the unknown because it feels unsafe, and we cling to the past because it's what we know. But divine interruptions come to break those attachments. They challenge us to release what we've been holding on to and embrace the new life that God is offering us. This moment, the moment when you realize you can't go back, is the point of no return. You've crossed over into a new season, and there's no turning back. At first, this realization might make you feel vulnerable or exposed. You might question if you're truly ready for the changes that are unfolding in your life. The unknown feels scary, and the past feels safer, even if it's not where you're meant to stay. But this is where faith comes in. You must trust that the divine interruption you're experiencing is leading you exactly where you need to go. The old ways of thinking, the old patterns, and the old version of yourself simply cannot go with you into the future that God has planned. The new life He's calling you into requires a new mindset, new relationships, and new patterns of thinking. It requires you to let go of the familiar and embrace the unknown. In this moment, you may be tempted to retreat into what is comfortable, to try to hold on to the pieces of your old life that still seem to make sense. But the truth is, these old pieces no longer fit the person you are becoming. You have outgrown your former self. The person who was built for survival is now stepping aside, making way for the person who will thrive, the person who is ready for abundance and fulfillment. You don't need to worry about trying to go back, because what's ahead of you is greater than anything behind you. The divine interruption is giving you the courage to move forward, to leave behind what no longer serves you, and to step boldly into the next chapter of your life. Yes, it may be uncomfortable, and yes, it may feel unsettling, but the discomfort is a sign of growth. It's a sign that you are shedding the old skin, just like a snake molting its skin to reveal a new, healthier layer underneath. You are growing, expanding, and becoming who you were always meant to be. When you realize that you can't go back, you are finally free. You are free from the chains of the past, free from the limitations you once believed you had, and free from the fear of what lies ahead. This is the moment when you step into your full potential, not because you are perfect or because everything is figured out, but because you trust that God is leading you exactly where you need to go. The divine interruption is not here to harm you. It's here to set you free, Sumit. As you move forward into this new chapter of your life, don't be afraid of the unknown. Don't be afraid to leave behind what you thought was safe and comfortable. The future that awaits you is full of possibility, abundance, and fulfillment. The divine interruption is your invitation to step into a life that is greater than anything you've imagined. You've already been prepared. All that's left now is to trust the process, embrace the changes, and move forward with faith and courage. This is your moment. You can't go back. But that's a good thing, because what's ahead is exactly where you're meant to be. Change is rarely easy. Often, it comes with a process, one that involves struggle, discomfort, and even pain. Before a divine blessing can enter our lives, we are often led through a series of challenges that prepare us to receive it. These struggles are not meaningless. They are part of the divine preparation that shapes us into the people we need to be in order to handle the blessing that God is about to bring into our lives. The hardships you've faced, those moments when you felt like you were being tested beyond your limits, have been part of the process that's making you ready for what's coming next. It's easy to look at the struggles we face and question why they are happening. We might ask, why is this happening to me? Or, why is this so difficult? We often see these struggles as obstacles that are meant to stop us. But in reality, they are the very things that are preparing us for the overflow. Every challenge, every moment of suffering, every trial you've endured has been building something inside of you. The growth that occurs during these times might not be visible to the naked eye, but it is there. These struggles are making you stronger, wiser, and more resilient. They are teaching you lessons that will equip you to handle the blessing that is about to come into your life. Think about the process of refining gold. Gold is put through intense heat to remove the impurities, to make it pure. Similarly, when we go through struggles, we are being refined. We might feel the heat, the pressure, and the discomfort, but it is during these times that our true strength and character are revealed. The struggles are not there to break us. They are there to strengthen us and prepare us to carry the weight of the blessing that's coming. As you walk through your struggles, you may feel alone or even abandoned at times. But the truth is that God is with you. Working in and through every challenge you face, He is shaping you, molding you, and preparing you for something greater. When you look back on these difficult moments, you'll realize that they were essential to your growth. They were part of the divine process that allowed you to develop the character, strength, and wisdom you'll need to handle the blessings that are about to flood your life. This process of change can also feel like a constant state of tension. There's a sense of waiting, of not yet having what you know you're meant to receive. You may feel like you're in limbo, neither here nor there, caught between where you've been and where you're going. It's uncomfortable, and the uncertainty can be unsettling. But in this space of tension, something beautiful is happening. You are being shaped. You are being stretched. And though it may feel like you're stuck, you are actually growing. Growth, by nature, requires change. And change is never comfortable. It forces us to move beyond the old ways of thinking, the old habits, and the old patterns. It challenges us to step into a new identity, one that is capable of holding the blessings God is preparing for us. And although this transformation is often uncomfortable, it is also essential. Without this process, we would not be ready for the magnitude of what's coming. The struggle is not just something to endure, it is something to embrace because it is making us ready to receive the fullness of God's blessings. At the same time, it's important to remember that the struggle is not the end. The hardship you're facing is not the final chapter of your story. It is only part of the journey, and it will eventually give way to something far greater. This moment of discomfort is temporary. The blessings that are waiting for you are eternal. As you persevere through the challenges, know that God is with you, strengthening you and preparing you for the breakthrough that's about to come. In the moments when you feel weary or when you feel like giving up, remind yourself that the struggle is part of the process. It is making you into the person you need to be in order to fully embrace the blessing that's coming. The divine interruption that you're experiencing is not a punishment. It's a purification. It's a necessary step in your journey of growth and transformation. And when you finally step into the fullness of the blessing, you will look back and realize that the struggle was worth it. The process of change from struggle to blessing is one of the most powerful parts of the divine journey. It is through the struggle that we learn to trust, to grow, and to become the people God has called us to be. When we embrace the process and trust in God's timing, we are prepared to receive the overflow that He has promised us. So don't despise the struggle. Don't resent the discomfort. Instead, see it for what it truly is, a divine preparation for the blessing that's about to come. You're being shaped, refined, and equipped to carry the weight of the blessing in a way that will honor God and serve the world around you. The struggle is temporary, but the blessing is eternal. Keep moving forward with faith, knowing that the best is yet to come. When God decides it's time for a blessing to manifest in your life, things often happen quickly. The slow, painstaking waiting is over. There's no more dragging your feet through uncertainty. Suddenly, the doors that were once closed swing wide open, and things begin to fall into place at a pace you couldn't have predicted. This isn't about slow progress, it's about divine acceleration. The timing of God's blessings moves swiftly. And when it's your time, you'll feel the rush of things coming together in a way that's both surprising and exhilarating. It's easy to think that we have to wait forever for the things we've prayed for, and many of us have spent years waiting, hoping, and working toward a breakthrough. But when God moves, He moves fast. He doesn't need to consult our schedules or wait for us to feel ready. His timing is perfect, and when the moment arrives, everything can shift in the blink of an eye. You may have been in a season of preparation for what feels like an eternity, feeling like nothing was moving forward. You've worked hard, you've waited patiently, and you've prayed with all your heart. But now, suddenly, things are beginning to change. The waiting is over, and the shift is happening faster than you could have imagined. The divine interruption is here, and it's coming with speed, clarity, and purpose. This is not a time to hesitate or second guess. This is a moment to move with the flow of God's will and allow Him to lead you where He wants you to go. The speed of divine movement can sometimes be overwhelming. You might find yourself in a whirlwind of opportunities, decisions, and changes that require quick action. But don't let the speed of things throw you off course. This is a sign that you are in alignment with God's perfect timing. When He moves in your life, everything that's meant for you begins to fall into place in a way that is both seamless and supernatural. The key is to stay in step with His movement, trusting that He is guiding you every step of the way. As God moves quickly in your life, it's important to remember that His speed is not meant to overwhelm you, but to accelerate your progress. You've spent so much time waiting and praying for this moment. Now that it's here, God is fast-tracking your progress and pushing you into the fullness of what He has planned for you. It's like being on a train that's moving fast. There's no time to waste. But you're not meant to be in control of the speed. You simply need to trust the process and allow God to take the lead. This rapid movement can also be a bit unsettling. You may feel like things are moving faster than you're prepared for, and it's tempting to second-guess yourself or wonder if you're truly ready for what's happening. But remember this, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have everything figured out. You just have to trust that God has prepared you for this moment. His speed is not to catch you off guard. It's to move you into the place He's been preparing you for all along. Think about the way a seed grows. It takes time to develop roots and to break through the soil. But once it starts growing, it begins to shoot up quickly. The growth might feel sudden, but it's the culmination of everything that's happened before. Similarly, your life has been preparing for this moment. You've been cultivating your relationship with God, learning lessons and growing in ways you couldn't see. Now, when the time is right, you're ready for rapid growth and expansion. The speed of divine movement can also be a test of your faith. It requires you to trust that God is in control, even when things seem to be moving too quickly. There's no time to overthink, no time to doubt. You have to move with the flow of God's plan and trust that He is leading you exactly where you need to be. This is a season of action, not hesitation. And the more you trust and act in faith, the more you will see God's plan unfold before your eyes. When God moves quickly in your life, it's a sign that the moment has arrived. It's not a time to pause, to retreat, or to look back at what you've left behind. It's a time to step forward, to embrace the blessings that are coming, and to trust that God is moving on your behalf. The speed of divine movement is a gift, not a burden. It's the opportunity to step into a new chapter of your life with confidence and faith. So, don't be afraid of the speed at which things are moving. Instead, embrace it. Recognize that this is the moment you've been waiting for. God is accelerating your journey and moving you into the place of blessing He has promised you. Your role is to trust the process, follow His lead, and move with Him as He takes you into the next season of your life. The blessing is here, and it's coming quickly. All that's left is for you to step forward and receive it. The waiting period before a divine blessing can often feel like the hardest part of the journey. We live in a world that moves fast, where instant gratification is expected, and patience is a rarity. So when we're waiting for something we believe is promised to us, it can be incredibly frustrating. We may feel like we've waited long enough, that we've done all the right things, prayed the right prayers, and worked hard enough to earn what's coming. Yet, the blessing still hasn't arrived. This is when we need to step back and remind ourselves that God's timing is never wrong. It may not match our timeline, but that doesn't mean it's not perfect. God, in His infinite wisdom, knows exactly when the right time is. He knows when we are truly ready to receive the blessings He has for us, even when we may feel like we're ready ahead of schedule. His timing is always aligned with His plan for our lives. And His plan is far greater than anything we could ever imagine or try to orchestrate ourselves. You may have asked for something, prayed for it, worked for it, even cried out for it, and it feels like God has been silent or distant. It feels like the breakthrough is just out of reach, and you wonder why it hasn't happened yet. But here's the thing, God's delays are not denials. Just because something hasn't arrived on your timetable doesn't mean that it's not on the way. In fact, it often means that God is preparing you for something far bigger than you originally asked for. The waiting period isn't wasted time. It's a time of preparation, a time when God is getting everything into place for the blessing He is about to release into your life. This time allows you to grow in faith, patience, and trust. It strengthens you and molds you into the person who is capable of receiving and handling the magnitude of the blessing that's coming your way. If the blessing were to come too early, you might not be ready to handle it, and it might even overwhelm you. But God, in His perfect wisdom, knows when you are truly prepared and when the time is right. He will release the blessing in ways that will exceed your expectations. Think of the story of Abraham, who was promised by God that he would be the father of many nations. Yet, Abraham had to wait many years for this promise to be fulfilled. In the meantime, he experienced doubts, struggles, and even moments of impatience. But when the promise finally came, it came at exactly the right moment, not too soon, not too late. If Abraham had received the promise prematurely, it wouldn't have carried the same significance, and he wouldn't have been in the place he needed to be to fully embrace it. This principle applies to us as well. God isn't withholding your blessing out of cruelty or neglect. He is allowing you the time you need to grow, to mature, and to prepare for what He is about to bring into your life. Sometimes we're not even aware of the ways in which we need to grow before we can fully receive what God has for us. But in His infinite love and grace, He knows exactly when we're ready. The challenge is to trust during the waiting period. It's easy to get frustrated when things don't happen on our timeline, but this is when we have to rely on God's perfect understanding of timing. Trust that God is working behind the scenes. Even when you can't see the progress, trust that He is making things happen at the right time, in the right way. There's no need to rush. There's no need to force things to happen. You don't have to be anxious or discouraged. Just keep moving forward with faith, knowing that the breakthrough is coming in God's perfect time, in the waiting. God is also refining us. He is teaching us patience, trust, and how to rely on Him, rather than on our own efforts. Waiting doesn't mean doing nothing. It means staying faithful, continuing to walk the path, and trusting that God will show up at the right moment. The blessing that God has for you is not just about the gift itself. It's about the process, the transformation, and the growth that happens along the way. When the blessing finally arrives, it will feel like the perfect moment. You will see how everything had to align in exactly the right way for this to happen. The waiting period, the delays, and the struggles, all of it will have made sense. You will see that it wasn't about the time it took for the blessing to come, but about the time it took for you to become the person who could fully appreciate and embrace that blessing. So, in those moments when you feel like the blessing is never coming, remember that God's timing is always perfect. What you are waiting for will come at just the right moment. You are not being forgotten. You are being prepared. And when the time is right, the blessing will arrive, and you will be ready to step into it with a full heart, knowing that it was worth every moment of the wait. As you wait for God to move in your life, one of the most challenging things is accepting that His plan may look very different from your own. We all have our own expectations, our own dreams, and our own ideas of what a blessing should look like. We picture what success, happiness, and fulfillment should feel like, and we start to think that God's blessing will fit into those pictures. But what often happens is that the blessings God has in store for us are far beyond anything we could have imagined. They don't fit into the neat little box we've created for them. They may look completely different from what we expected, and sometimes that difference can be unsettling. When God's blessings arrive, they don't always follow the path we thought they would. You may have prayed for a specific outcome, yet what happens is something entirely different. It may not match the image you had in mind, and that can cause confusion. You might even start to question whether you've heard God correctly or whether you misunderstood what He promised. But the truth is, the blessings God has for you are not constrained by your own limitations or expectations. They are part of a larger divine plan that is far better than anything you could have imagined. It's easy to get discouraged when things don't look the way we thought they would. We might feel like we're going in the wrong direction or that God has somehow failed to deliver on His promises. But here's the secret: just because the blessing doesn't look like what we thought it would, doesn't mean it's not the blessing we need. In fact, The blessings that don't fit our preconceived notions are often the ones that will stretch us the most, help us grow the most, and fulfill us in ways we never could have predicted. Think about the story of Joseph. He had dreams of greatness, dreams where he was the one in charge, leading his family and receiving honor. But instead, his path was anything but what he expected. He was sold into slavery, falsely accused, and imprisoned. Yet through all of this, Joseph's faith never wavered. He trusted that God had a plan, even when it didn't look anything like what he had envisioned. And in the end, Joseph's story became a testimony of God's faithfulness and timing. The blessing he received was not just about his position in life. It was about how God used his struggles, his setbacks, and his faithfulness to bring about a greater purpose. This is exactly how God works in our lives. He often uses our struggles, our detours, and our moments of uncertainty to bring us to a place of greater blessing. The blessings we receive might not look like what we envisioned, but they will always lead us to something greater. In the moments when it feels like things are not going according to plan, it's important to hold on to the truth that God is always working behind the scenes to bring his perfect plan into fruition. Trusting God's plan means letting go of our need to control how things unfold. It means surrendering our expectations and allowing God to take the lead. This isn't always easy, especially when the path doesn't look the way we thought it would. But the moment we release our need for control and trust that God knows what's best for us, we open ourselves up to blessings that are far greater than what we could have imagined. When God brings blessings into your life, they may come in unexpected forms. They might come through new opportunities, new relationships, or new ways of thinking. They may not look like the blessings you had in mind, but they will be the ones that are perfectly suited to your growth, your calling, and your purpose. These unexpected blessings are often the ones that lead to the most profound and lasting change in our lives. It's easy to become fixated on what we think we want and believe that our idea of a blessing is the only one that matters. But God's blessings are bigger than our limited understanding. They are not just about fulfilling our desires, they are about fulfilling God's purpose for our lives. And when we step into the blessings He has for us, even if they look different from what we expected, we discover that they bring us exactly what we need to become the people we were always meant to be. So, in those moments when you receive a blessing that doesn't look like what you thought it would, don't be discouraged. Instead, embrace it. Trust that God's plan is better than anything you could have imagined, and that the unexpected path He's leading you down will ultimately bring you to a place of greater fulfillment and purpose. The beauty of trusting God's plan is that it frees us from the burden of trying to control everything. We no longer have to force things to happen or try to make them fit into the boxes we've created. Instead, we can rest in the assurance that God is orchestrating every detail of our lives and that His blessings, though sometimes unexpected, are always perfect for us. The next time you encounter a blessing that doesn't look like what you imagined, take a moment to reflect on the ways in which it aligns with God's greater purpose for your life. Trust that, in His timing, the blessing will unfold in exactly the way it's meant to, and that it will be more beautiful and fulfilling than anything you could have planned. One of the most profound lessons we can learn in our journey with God is the art of surrender. In a world that values control, planning, and self-sufficiency, the idea of surrendering everything to God can feel like an uncomfortable and even frightening proposition. We are conditioned to believe that if we want something, we have to go after it ourselves, work for it tirelessly, and make sure we are in control of every detail. But when it comes to receiving God's blessings, surrender is not just important, it is essential. Surrendering to God means letting go of our desire to control the outcome. It means releasing our tightly held plea to our expectations and our need for things to go the way we think they should. Instead, surrendering means trusting that God knows what's best for us and that His plans for our lives are far greater than anything we could create on our own. It's in the act of surrender that we open the door for God to step in and move in ways that we could never have imagined. True surrender involves a shift in perspective. It's not about giving up on our dreams or desires. It's about aligning our desires with God's will. When we surrender, we are acknowledging that God's purpose for our lives is more important than our own plans. It's saying, I trust you. God, I trust that you know what's best for me. Even when I don't understand why things are unfolding the way they are. In this place of surrender, we begin to see that God's timing, His plans, and His ways are perfect, even if they don't always make sense to us in the moment. You might have a specific vision for your life goals, ambitions, and hopes for the future, and it's natural to want to pursue these desires with all of our heart. But there comes a point when we realize that our vision is limited, and God's vision is far greater. Sometimes the blessing we think we want is not the one that will fulfill us in the way we need. God, in His infinite wisdom, sees the bigger picture. He knows what we need, and He knows when we need it. Surrendering our plans to Him opens the way for His perfect blessing to enter our lives. Surrender does not mean passivity. It does not mean sitting back and doing nothing. It means actively trusting God with the direction of our lives. It means we continue to work, strive, and pursue our goals. But we do so with the understanding that God is ultimately in control. It means that when things don't go according to our plan, we trust that God is using those circumstances to lead us to something better. It's about letting go of our need for perfection and accepting that God's process is good, even when it feels uncomfortable. Think of it this way: if we hold on too tightly to the things we want, we might miss out on the things God has for us. The act of surrender allows God to fill our hands with the blessings He has prepared for us. It's like holding our hands out, palms up, ready to receive whatever He places there. But if our hands are clenched tightly around our own plans and desires, we can't receive the blessings He wants to give us. Surrendering is about opening our hands, our hearts, and our lives to receive God's best for us. There's also a powerful freedom that comes with surrender. When we release our need to control, we release the burden of worry and fear. We stop trying to force things to happen, and instead we trust that God's timing is perfect. We learn to rest in His peace, knowing that He is at work, even when we can't see the full picture. The more we surrender, the more we are able to walk in peace and confidence, knowing that God is leading us toward the very blessings we've been waiting for. Surrendering also means letting go of any doubt or fear about our worthiness. We may feel unqualified for the blessings we're hoping for. But the truth is that God doesn't bless us because we deserve it. He blesses us because of His grace, love, and His purpose for our lives. When we surrender, we release our doubts and accept that God has already equipped us for the blessings He's about to pour out. His blessings are not earned. They are gifts, freely given to those who trust Him. The more we practice surrender, the more we begin to see that everything we have, everything we are, is a gift from God. Our lives, our talents, our successes, and even our struggles are part of His plan to shape us and guide us to the blessings He has in store. When we surrender, we stop trying to do it all on our own and allow God to work through us. We stop striving, and we begin to walk in the freedom of knowing that God is in control and that He will bring His plans to fruition in His perfect time. In surrendering, we also learn to let go of the fear of failure. We realize that even when things don't go according to plan, God is still working. His plans are not thwarted by our mistakes or misstep. In fact, sometimes our mistakes are part of the process that leads us to where He wants us to be. Surrendering means letting go of the need for everything to go perfectly and trusting that, even in the imperfect moments, God's plan is still unfolding. So, as you continue on your journey toward the blessings God has in store, remember that surrender is the key to unlocking those blessings. It's in letting go, trusting Him, and aligning your heart with His will that you make room for the incredible blessings that He is preparing for you. The more you surrender, the more you will see God's hand at work, and the more you will experience the peace, joy, and fulfillment that come from walking in alignment with His plan. As you stand on the threshold of the blessings God is about to pour into your life, one thing becomes abundantly clear: these blessings are not just for you. While they will undoubtedly bring you joy, peace, and fulfillment, they are ultimately meant to flow through you to others. God's blessings are designed to expand your influence, to empower you to serve, and to create a ripple effect of goodness that reaches far beyond your own life. When God blesses you, He blesses you so that you can be a blessing to the world around you. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that God's blessings are solely for our own enjoyment, or that they are meant to be hoarded and protected. But the truth is, every blessing you receive is a tool to further God's kingdom and to bless others. Whether it's a financial blessing, a relational blessing, or a blessing in your career or health, the goal is not just to enjoy it for yourself, but to use it to serve others and to bring glory to God. Think about the parable of the talents in Matthew 25:14-30. In this story, a master entrusts his servants with different amounts of money talents and expects them to invest and multiply what they've been given. The servant who hides his talent and does nothing with it is reprimanded, while the servants who use their talents wisely are praised and rewarded. This parable illustrates a profound truth. The blessings we receive are meant to be used to bless others. God gives us the resources, abilities, and opportunities not just for our own benefit, but to invest in others and make a difference in the world. When we begin to see that God's blessings are meant to flow through us, we stop hoarding them or keeping them to ourselves. Instead, we open our hearts and hands to share what we've been given. This could mean using your time, talents, and financial resources to support a cause you believe in, to help someone in need, or to make a positive impact in your community. It's about using what God has given you to spread love, kindness, and hope in a world that desperately needs it. Sometimes, the blessings we receive may not even look like material things. They could come in the form of wisdom, opportunities, relationships, or experiences. These blessings aren't just meant to enrich our lives. They are meant to be shared with others so that they too can experience the goodness of God. Perhaps you've gone through a difficult season and come out on the other side with newfound strength and resilience. That strength is not just for you, it's meant to be shared with others who are going through similar struggles. Your story, your testimony, and your experiences are all part of the blessings God has given you to help others. Another powerful way blessings flow through us is through our relationships. The love, support, and kindness we receive from others should be reflected in how we treat those around us. Whether it's a word of encouragement, a listening ear, or a helping hand, the way we show up for others in their times of need is a direct reflection of the blessings we've received. God's love for us is so abundant that it's meant to be shared and multiplied through our actions and our words. This also means that as we experience God's blessings, we have a responsibility to steward them well. Just as the servants in the parable were expected to manage the talents they were given wisely, we too are called to manage the blessings God has entrusted to us. This requires humility, gratitude, and a deep understanding that all we have comes from God. When we realize that everything we have is a gift from God, we are more likely to use it for His glory and the good of others, rather than hoarding it for ourselves. The beauty of God's blessings is that they are designed to be generational. When we share what we've received, it has the potential to impact not just the people around us, but future generations. Your actions, your generosity, your willingness to bless others will echo far beyond your lifetime. You may never know the full extent of the impact you have on someone else's life, but rest assured, the seeds you plant today will bear fruit for years to come. God's plan is always bigger than just us. The blessings He gives us are not meant to stop with us, they are meant to create a ripple effect that spreads out into the world, reaching people we may never meet, changing lives in ways we may never fully understand. But this is the beauty of divine blessings. They are not just for our own pleasure. They are tools that God uses to bring about His greater purpose on earth. As you receive the blessings that God is bringing into your life, remember that they are not just for you. They are meant to be shared, used, and multiplied. Ask God how you can use what He's given you to make a difference in the lives of others. Seek ways to bless those around you, and watch as your life becomes a conduit of His love, grace, and provision. The more you share, the more God will bless you, and in doing so, you will find that the blessings you give away will come back to you in ways that you could never have imagined. One of the most challenging aspects of receiving God's blessings is the transition from the old to the new. We are creatures of habit, and we naturally cling to what is familiar, even when we know it no longer serves us. Letting go of the past, whether it's old habits, relationships, mindsets, or even ways of thinking, can feel like an overwhelming and painful process. We might fear the unknown, worry about what we'll lose, or struggle with the idea of leaving behind what has been comfortable, even if it's not healthy for us. But the truth is, in order to fully step into the blessings and purpose that God has for us, we must be willing to let go of what no longer fits our new season. Holding on to the past can keep us stuck in old patterns and prevent us from moving forward into the new things God is calling us to. The blessings God has in store for us are often too big to fit into the old spaces we've been living in. Just as a seed must break open and push through the soil in order to grow, we must break free from the past in order to step into the fullness of what God has for us. This process of letting go is not always easy. There's a sense of loss that comes with leaving behind what has been familiar. You might feel sadness, fear, or even guilt for letting go of relationships or habits that have been part of your life for years. But what we often forget is that God is not asking us to give up these things for no reason. He's asking us to release them so that He can make room for something greater, something that will bring us more joy, fulfillment, and purpose than we ever imagined. In the Bible, there's a powerful example of this principle in the story of Abraham. When God called him to leave his homeland and step into the unknown, Abraham had to leave behind everything he had ever known: his family, his culture, and his security. God promised Abraham that he would become the father of many nations. But in order to receive that promise, Abraham had to step away from his past and walk into the unknown. This act of faith, though difficult, opened the door for the fulfillment of God's promises in his life. Similarly, in our own lives, we are often called to leave behind what is comfortable and familiar in order to fully embrace the future God has for us. This might involve letting go of relationships that are no longer serving us, walking away from old patterns of thinking, or even releasing our attachment to past disappointments and hurts. Letting go of the past doesn't mean we forget it or disregard it. It means we stop allowing it to control our future. We stop allowing the past to define who we are and limit what we can become. Letting go also means breaking free from the mindset that we are bound by our past mistakes or failures. We often carry around guilt, shame, or regret from things we've done in the past, and we let these feelings dictate our present. But God's grace is greater than any of our past mistakes. When we choose to let go of those old narratives and accept God's forgiveness, we free ourselves to step into the new things He has for us. His mercies are new every morning, and His plans for us are always bigger and better than anything we could imagine. As you let go of the past, trust that God is making room for something new. He's clearing out the old so that He can fill your life with the new blessings, new opportunities, and new relationships that align with your purpose. It's not always easy, and it may not always make sense, but trust that God is in control of the process. He knows what's best for you, and He's leading you into a season of greater fulfillment and purpose. It's important to remember that letting go of the past doesn't mean forgetting the lessons we've learned. The experiences, both good and bad, have shaped us and made us who we are today. But we can learn from the past without being held captive by it. We can honor what we've been through without allowing it to keep us stuck. The blessing that is waiting for you on the other side of this transition is far greater than anything you've left behind. Sometimes, the hardest part of letting go is stepping into the unknown. It's natural to want to hold on to what is familiar, even if it's not serving us. But God is calling us to step into something new, something better. The unknown is not a place of fear. It is a place of possibility. It's a place where God can do His greatest work in our lives, transforming us and expanding our capacity to receive His blessings. So, as you navigate the transition from old to new, remember that God is with you every step of the way. Let go of the past, trust His timing, and walk forward into the future He has prepared for you. The blessings that await you are worth the discomfort of change. The new life, the new opportunities, and the new peace that God is offering you are far greater than anything you could ever hold on to. Trust that the future is bright, and that God has amazing things in store for you. When God begins to pour out His blessings in your life, it's not just an invitation to enjoy what He's given you. It's also a call to expand. The blessings that come from God are designed to stretch you beyond what you've known, to challenge your limits, and to help you grow into the person you were always meant to be. While blessings are often seen as rewards or answers to prayers, they also come with a responsibility, one that calls you to grow, adapt, and evolve. This process of growth, however, isn't always comfortable. In fact, it's often quite uncomfortable. It requires you to step outside your comfort zone and challenge yourself in ways you may not have anticipated. The new opportunities, new relationships, or new roles that come with divine blessings may feel overwhelming at first. You might wonder if you're truly ready for the magnitude of what God is asking of you. But the truth is, you have been prepared for this moment. The growth that you've experienced in the past, the trials, the waiting, The hard lessons has been preparing you to steward the blessings that are about to unfold in your life. One of the greatest challenges of receiving a divine blessing is recognizing that it requires an expansion of your capacity. Think of a person who has been in a small room all their life, and then they are given the opportunity to move into a much larger, more spacious area. At first, they might feel overwhelmed by the vastness of the space. It might feel uncomfortable and foreign, like it doesn't belong to them. But eventually, they learn how to use that space, how to fill it, and how to live in it. Similarly, when God blesses you with something bigger than what you've known, it's like moving into a new space in life. You'll have to learn how to adapt to it, how to grow into it, and how to expand your thinking and abilities to fit the new life that's being offered. This growth is often reflected in how we think about ourselves and the world around us. When God blesses us with something new, it can feel like our old mindset no longer fits. We might have spent years believing we were limited by our past, our circumstances, or our own capability due to impetus. But as God blesses us with greater opportunities, we are called to expand our understanding of who we are and what we are capable of. This is where the true stretching happens, the shift from living within the boundaries of our old mindset to stepping into the possibilities of a new one. Embracing this expansion also means letting go of fear, the fear of the unknown, the fear of failure, and the fear of not being enough can hold us back from stepping into the fullness of the blessings God has for us. But when we embrace the idea that God has already equipped us for this new season, we can move forward with confidence. The stretching that comes with divine blessings is not meant to break us. It's meant to enlarge us. It's meant to expand our capacity for more love, more joy, more influence, more responsibility, and more purpose. Think about a seed that is planted in the soil. The seed is small, but within it lies the potential for a great tree. For that seed to grow, it must stretch and push through the soil, overcoming resistance, before it can break free and reach toward the light. Similarly, the blessings you receive require you to stretch and grow. At first, it may feel uncomfortable as you push through your old ways of thinking and being, but as you break through those limitations, you'll begin to see the fruit of your growth. The blessings that once seemed impossible will begin to feel like the natural expression of who you've become. Growth doesn't just happen overnight. It's a process, and it requires patience. You may not see the immediate effects of the expansion you're going through, but trust that every step you take is leading you closer to the full manifestation of the blessings God has in store. Just as a tree doesn't grow all at once, but rather takes time to stretch, reach, and mature, so too does your life in this new season. Embrace the process of growth and trust that each challenge, each discomfort, and each new responsibility is helping you become the person you need to be to steward the blessings in your life. The key to embracing this expansion is to stay grounded in your identity in Christ. When you know who you are and whose you are, you can face the growing pains with confidence. You are not stepping into the unknown alone. God is with you, stretching you, molding you, and guiding you every step of the way. The growth you experience is not just for your own benefit. It is part of God's larger plan to use you to bless others, to impact your community, and to bring glory to His name. So, as you step into this new season of blessing, be prepared to expand. Be open to the stretching that will take place in your mind, heart, and spirit. And understand that growth can be uncomfortable, but it is always for your good. Trust that God is enlarging your capacity to receive more of His goodness, and that as you grow, You will be able to carry the weight of His blessings with grace and strength. The expansion you're experiencing is a sign that you are becoming who you were always meant to be. It's a sign that God is preparing you for something greater than you could have ever imagined. Embrace the growing pains, knowing that the blessings that await you are worth every stretch, every challenge, and every moment of discomfort. One of the biggest obstacles we face when stepping into divine blessings is doubt. When God begins to move in our lives, especially when the blessings seem too big or too wonderful to be true, it's natural to question whether we are really ready to receive them. We might wonder if we truly deserve them, if we are capable of handling them, or if we are really the person God has chosen for this great work. These doubts are common, but they are also the very things that can hold us back from fully embracing the blessings God has for us. Doubt often arises from insecurity, our fear that we aren't enough, that we don't measure up, or that we will fail in the face of such a great calling. We look at our past mistakes, our imperfections, or our limitations, and we convince ourselves that we're not qualified to receive God's blessings. But the truth is, God doesn't choose us based on our past or our own qualifications. He chooses us because He sees our potential. He equips us with everything we need to walk into the future He has for us, even if we don't feel ready. It's important to remember that God's blessings are never about our perfection or our ability to earn them. They are gifts of grace, given freely because God loves us and has a purpose for our lives. The moment we accept this truth, we can begin to break free from the self-doubt that tries to hold us back. When God calls us to something greater, He doesn't leave us to navigate it alone. He is with us every step of the way, empowering us to succeed and to fulfill His purpose in our lives. Think about Moses. When God called Moses to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, he was filled with doubt. He questioned his ability, wondering how he could possibly carry out such an enormous task. He even told God that he wasn't a good speaker, that he wasn't qualified. Yet, God still chose him and equipped him with everything he needed. Moses was not perfect, but he was obedient. His faith and trust in God allowed him to fulfill the mission that God had for him, despite the doubts he had about himself. This is the same with us. When God calls us into something big, it's not because we are already equipped. It's because He knows that we are capable of growing into the person He has designed us to be. The doubts that we feel are often a sign that we are stepping into something bigger than ourselves, a calling that will require us to lean on God for strength, wisdom, and guidance. And in doing so, we will see that, even though we are not perfect, we are more than enough through His power. Overcoming doubt requires a shift in perspective. Instead of focusing on our limitations and fears, we need to focus on the truth of who we are in Christ. We are chosen, equipped, and empowered by God. He has already given us everything we need to walk into the blessings He has prepared for us. When we embrace this truth, we begin to see that our weaknesses are not obstacles, they are opportunities for God's strength to shine through. The Bible reminds us in 2 Corinthians 12:9, "But He said to me, 'My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness.'" This verse is a powerful reminder that our limitations don't disqualify us from receiving God's blessings. In fact, they make us more dependent on Him. It's in our weakness that God's power is most evident. When we embrace our vulnerability and surrender our doubts to Him, He uses our imperfections to accomplish His perfect will. The key to overcoming doubt is to embrace the truth of who you are in Christ. You are more than a conqueror. You are not defined by your past or your mistakes. You are defined by God's love, His grace, and His calling on your life. When you truly understand this, the doubts that once held you back will lose their power over you. You will walk in confidence, knowing that God has equipped you for the journey ahead. It's also important to surround yourself with people who can speak truth into your life when doubt creeps in. The enemy often uses isolation to make us feel alone in our struggles. But God has placed people around us who can encourage, support, and pray with us. When you're struggling with doubt, don't hesitate to reach out to those who can remind you of God's promises and encourage you to keep moving forward. As you step into the blessings God has prepared for you, remember that the journey is not about being perfect. It's about trusting in God's perfect plan and trusting that He has already equipped you to succeed. The blessings are not about your own strength or abilities. They are about God's grace working through you. When you embrace this truth, doubt will no longer be able to keep you from fully receiving and walking in the blessings that God has for you. So, let go of the fear, the insecurity, and the self-doubt. Trust that you are exactly who God wants to use for the mission ahead. You are qualified, not by your own merit, but by His grace. And as you embrace this truth, you will see that God's blessings are more than you could ever have imagined, and you are more than capable of handling them through His strength. After all the waiting, all the growing, all the stretching, and overcoming doubts, the moment has finally come. It's time to step into the fullness of your blessing and embrace the purpose that God has designed for you. This is the moment to own your blessing, to walk confidently in the new season that God has prepared, and to trust that everything He's given you is part of His divine plan to fulfill His purpose in and through your life. Stepping into your purpose requires courage. It's not enough to just receive the blessings God has poured out. You must step forward with confidence and own what He's given you. Whether it's a new opportunity, a new relationship, or a new responsibility, God is inviting you to step into the next chapter of your journey, and He is giving you the strength, wisdom, and grace to do so. Don't shrink back from what God has for you. Own it. This is the moment for you to rise up and walk boldly in the purpose God has uniquely designed for you. You were created for a reason, and God has prepared you for this very moment. All the experiences you've gone through, the challenges you've overcome, and the lessons you've learned have been shaping you for this time. You may not feel entirely ready, and it's easy to doubt whether you're truly equipped. But remember that God has equipped you with everything you need to succeed. It's not about being perfect. It's about trusting Him and stepping out in faith. When you receive a blessing, especially one that feels too big or too overwhelming, it's important to remember that God doesn't bless us to leave us. He equips us. His blessings come with empowerment. So, when you step into your new season, know that God is walking with you, strengthening you, and guiding you every step of the way. He has given you everything you need to succeed, and He is faithful to carry out His promises in your life. One of the most important aspects of stepping into your purpose is to recognize that it's not just about you. The blessings you've received are not just for your personal gain. They are meant to bless others too. You are called to use your gifts, your resources, and your story to impact those around you. As you walk in your purpose, you'll find that the more you give, the more you will be blessed in return. The overflow of blessings in your life is meant to spill over into the lives of others, bringing hope, healing, and encouragement to those who need it most. Owning your blessing means fully accepting the life that God has called you to live. It means embracing the responsibilities that come with the blessings, not running from them. Sometimes the weight of the blessing can feel heavy, especially when it requires us to stretch beyond what we've ever known. But God doesn't call us to live a life of ease. He calls us to live a life of purpose, and that purpose is always bigger than ourselves. As you step into the fullness of God's blessings, you may encounter moments of fear or hesitation. You might be tempted to play small, to doubt your ability to carry the weight of the calling, or to shrink back from the opportunities God is opening for you. But remember, the only way to truly embrace your blessing is to walk forward in faith, trusting that God is with you and that He has already made a way for you. Your purpose isn't just something you do, it's who you are. It's the unique calling that God has placed on your life, and it's woven into every part of your story. The trials you've endured, the lessons you've learned, and the experiences you've had all play a part in preparing you for this moment. Don't dismiss your story, embrace it. Your experiences and your journey are all part of the blessing, and they are meant to help you step into the fullness of your purpose. Now is the time to stop second-guessing and start stepping forward with confidence. Own your story, own your blessing, own the purpose that God has placed on your life. The world is waiting for you to step into what you've been prepared for. Your unique gifts and your journey are meant to be shared with others, and in doing so, you will inspire and impact people in ways you may never fully realize. God has a divine plan for your life, and this moment, this season, is the fulfillment of that plan. You are exactly where you need to be, and the blessing that you've received is part of something much greater than yourself. As you embrace your purpose, you are walking in alignment with God's will, and that is where the true power of the blessing lies. So, take that first step with courage. Even if you feel unsure, trust that God has already prepared the way. Walk boldly in the calling He has placed on your life, knowing that He has equipped you for everything that lies ahead. The blessings are not just for you to hold on to, they are for you to share, to give, and to use for His glory. Step into your purpose today, and watch as God continues to unfold His amazing plan in your life.